Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my Grey Knights list that's going to be taking on Lane and his DeathWatch later on this evening. After the Necrons made their appearance in Pittsburgh and got run over hard by Imperial Guard, it's time to move on to the next tournament. And I think the next one that we're going to go to is going to be a RGT in Medina at Sweets and Geeks. And for that event, I'm going to try and take out Grey Knights. So this is going to be my intro version to the list I'm thinking about taking to this RGT and my first run with it. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Like, share, and turn on the bell for notifications to get notified on more of the videos, content like this, the actual game itself, as well as a whole bunch of news with 10th edition. We got a lot coming out. And me and Lane really plan on trying to get comprehensive with a lot of the rules and help try to make it easily translatable and digestible for everyone out there. It's a really good opportunity for this edition for us to get some new players in here and have some growth. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And I have a couple of vehicles on my shelf, especially for Grey Knights. Man, I really hope that I get a reason to put a Land Raider out there soon. So with that being said, let me give you guys my, I guess you could say, the rough draft for my Grey Knights list. It's going to be taking on Lane tonight with his DeathWatch. The mission we're going to be doing is the Scouring, so I'm going to talk about some of my secondaries in there and my plan for how I'm going to approach that. The Scouring, if you guys don't know, has 5 objectives that are all in the middle. You do not get a command point unless you're holding one of the objectives outside of your deployment zone, and it's long ways. So with that being said, here's the Grey Knights that I'm going to be playing in that matchup later tonight. So my Brotherhood is going to be the Preservers, and it's for one reason and one reason only. When I pass a psychic test with a unit, they get a 6-up, feel no pain. If they are within range of an Apothecary, that boosts it up to a 5-up. So my goal is to get my Terminators up to a 5-up, feel no pain, with a 4-up invuln off a Sanctuary, and possibly being in cover for Tide of Shadows to give them an additional -1 to hit them. Really making them resilient and being able to hold objectives from anywhere on the map. So let's start off with those guys. I got 2 10-man squads of Terminators. These are regular Terminators, not Paladins, because I wanted objectives secured. Also, Paladins don't get the Brotherhood buff, so they would not be able to use the psychic power from the Preservers to get them the 5-up, feel no pain. They wouldn't even get the 6-up, feel no pain, because they're not able to... they don't get any of the Brotherhood buffs. They're considered honored knights. Now, with the Apothecary nearby them, they'd still get the 6-up, feel no pain regularly, but I want the 5-up. I want to see how much resilience we can put behind these guys and if it works. So I got 10 Terminators, 2 squads of these guys. There's an assortment of weapons in there. I got some hammers in there because they do want that damage output. I have at least 3 hammers in one squad, 2 in the other. And just a variety of other weapons. Both squads have 2 side cannons in them, just in case I get that ability to boost them up, because it's some really cheap strats for 1 CP to boost side weapons, and as well, Empiric Amplification is going to be floating around on my list. Moving on to my fast attacks, which is my compulsory choice, I have 3 30-man squads, or sorry, 3 10-man squads. Gosh, 30-man squads. That's what I want next. Games Workshop, give me 30-man squads of Interceptors. But yeah, I got 30 Interceptors, 3 10-man squads. Now, 2 of the squads I'm going to be combat squadding, 1 with swords and 1 with the 2-handed weapons. Reason for this is I want to have the MSU behind it, the small units, to be able to bounce around and do some of my secondaries with Purifying Ritual, as well as being able to put up banners. They're very quick, they're very cheap, and they still do a heck of a lot of damage. These guys hit like a freight train with base 3 attacks, 4 with the 2-handed weapons, and then the Justicars as well. It's just a lot of damage and a lot of possibility there from these guys. Their generic psychic power lets them shoot and then move, so they got a nice little Eldar Fire and Fade effect on these guys. And the last of these 30 guys is going to stay as a 10-man, and they're the ones with my halberds. I feel like the halberds are kind of good multifaceted tool. They can hit every army and be reliably good against potentially every army. They have a Nemesis warding stave just in case they get too far away and I can't get an invuln on them. But these guys are fast. They hit hard. And in fact, there was one game that these guys on their initial charge almost took a Hecaton out by themselves. So they can hit. 2 damage apiece on the halberds. One of my favorite weapons out of this deck. Love it, love it. All right, so the characters, they're going to try and make this thing work. So I do have 2 librarians. The first one is not going to be my warlord. He's going to have Vortex of Doom and Purge, Purifying Flame. He also has the Sigil, so if he gets shot at, he bounces away. He is going to try to stay in range of my other librarian, who has the Warlord trait Psychic Epitome. So he has Gate of Infinity as well as Purifying Flame. So his offensive powers on the Warlord version would be Smite and Purifying Flame, while my little Libby, the old school Grey Knight model, who's the size of a squat Terminator, has Vortex and Purifying Flame and can get Psychic Epitome from the Librarian, so the Librarian stays alive longer. I wanted him to have Gate as well as a backup, because if I do spend a command point to give him 3d6 casts, I want to make sure that Gate is getting into that effect. I feel like it's just too valuable to not reliably have that late into the game. Moving over to my last of my HQs, Lord Calidor Drago. He gives the unit reroll all hits. He hits like a truck himself, and he gets 3 psychic powers. He's going to hold the warp shaping in case I decide to change the tide during the game. I always like having it on him. And with his other 2 casts, he's probably going to he's going to be hitting Empiric Amplification because he's going to be up front and fighting, so he can boost some of the side weapons that I have. Also, I didn't mention both the 2 Interceptor squads that are getting combat squatted. There are 2 side cannons in that unit that are going into both are going into 1 5-man each. Drago, he's tough. He hits. He has Empiric Amplification to boost the side weapons. He has Gate of Infinity himself, so that I have it both in the front and the back of my army, depending on how the game shifts. And yeah, he's Drago. Last but definitely not least is my Apothecary. Apothecary has Sanctuary. That's really about it. One of my librarians will have the Foretelling Locus, so at the beginning of the game, I will be able to redeploy up to 3 units. And, last minute addition into this list before I forget, my 2 4-man squads of Servitors that are on loan for my AdMech. Not really sure. Going to try a couple things with these guys. I'm going to put them in strategic, have them walk on and be able to take an objective so my more expensive units can get forward. Hopefully, we don't get into a scary position where that has to be like a rushed primary thing and these guys can just kind of wander on to a safe objective and just stand there and do what Servitors do best. So we'll see how that works out. Giving them a try. If nothing else, they provide a really nice screen. So that's my Grey Knight list for tonight. The secondaries I'm going to be taking are going to be Purifying Ritual, Raise the Banners, as well as Teleport Strike. So Teleport Strike got really boosted to be 5 points every time you complete it. Over the course of the game, I'm going to hit some of Lane's models. I don't need to be aggressive. There's 2 turns that I don't need to be aggressive at all, as long as I can kill a unit from a teleport location, Shunt, Gate, or Deep Strike, on 3 of the turns. So I can just pick on weaker units. As long as I get that unit, then that's 5 points. If I only do it twice, it's still 10 points, and it's a really strong secondary. I have lots of bolters, and I do have it's going to be 2 command points for my 10-man, but if that's 2 command points, score 5 points, I'll take that trade. I'll take that trade, especially because my army does start with a little more command points than most. I do have 4 command points to start the game out of this list because I only took the Warlord trait and the single relic. So that's going to be a good starting point for being able to make sure I do have command points, because there's not a lot of other things I want to do. 1 command point for re-rolling psychic powers, and 2 command points for shunt moves off of interceptors. So those are the primary strats. Purifying Ritual, anyone who's played Grey Knights or played against Grey Knights knows why I'm taking Purifying Ritual. It just scores. Get on an objective, cast it, boom. Points, 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 and just hold those down. Allows me to play really defensively. I don't have to go into Lane's deployment zone, which means there's less ground that I have to absolutely cover, and I can be slightly uninteractive while scoring points. Last but surely not least, raising banners. Again, if I get on 2 objectives and place 2 banners down and they stay for the game, that's 10 points. So a lot of my secondaries are looking at a real solid, at least like 30 to 32 points that I'm scoring on without having to be aggressive. Now, as the game plays out and I push into the center with the Terminators that are objective secured, with their added resilience, it gives me the ability to be able to steal center and perform some of my actions and secondaries to steal points while lane or my opponent is trying to tear down my Terminators. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I think I'm going to probably start one of my 10-man squads Terminators in reserve. Both the squads of Servitors are going to be in reserve, and 2 of the 5-man interceptor sides of things are also going to be in reserve, just so I don't have to hide as much. And I really don't need a lot on the table early going just to start getting my score engine going. Well, that's my list for right now. Anybody who has played, and seen some of the stuff I'm doing that may have run into some snags and goes, hey, you're going to see this with that unit into this matchup, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm just shaking the rust off of Grey Knights, getting them ready, and going to try and get them ready for next month for local RGT. I'm looking forward to seeing some of my friends that, it just de-thawed in Ohio. So now we're all getting outside and actually starting to do stuff again, because I know a lot of my friends are like me and really just don't want to drive in the snow if they don't have to. Guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you again soon.